Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you. I don't come from the business side. I don't come from the corporate side. I come more or less from the wild side. So I'm so happy to be able to do this because my intercultural experience is very deep and extensive, but I never had the opportunity to present it in front of people in the intercultural field. I have done a lot of presentations in other areas of my life. So I put a drink, because Barbara was just talking about the drink. You can metaphysically think of a drink. Okay, drinks are fusion foods. And I think nowadays we live like that. You have you work with one company, but you have workers from another company where it's one language, a different culture, different approach, different mores. And so more or less is probably the way we have to deal daily. And it's happening to me that I have worked as teacher, as tour guide, as language teacher. I'm working a lot intercultural trainer. So as this is typical for me, if you see also I'm ADHD, it's not an excuse, it's a fact. I made my background a little on the other side, but that's typical. So how to deal with interconnectedness and global mobility, shaping and reshaping intercultural skills daily. So you have a skill, maybe you're a custom, a more norm, but depending on the situation or the setting, you have to obviously change it or adapt it, but not only adapt it on a mental way, but an emotional and empathic way. Who do you have in front? So I said previously, global fusion cocktails are not just drinks, they're liquid fiestas of creativity, diversity, and cultural meaning, extracting ingredients from all corners of the globe. Immerse us in the world of flavors, connections, and daily adventures. So why I'm saying this, because sometimes maybe in a cultural setting, intercultural problem, situation, or difficult we could say a difficult experience, you can employ something from another culture that's not perhaps part of that culture that can help to ease off, like just Barbara did, maybe take a couple of breaths, fend off, you change the approach a little bit like an actor. That's what I do as a tour guide. I'm very hyperactive, unfortunately, hopefully it doesn't mind you, full of joy always. Now I'm going to present myself, intercultural language coach, wellness, and lifestyle facilitator, global educator. And also another slide, not too much. Okay, I proudly identify myself, and I was writing, I made this mistake, myself to muy self, which says already, it's a Spanglish, muy self, muy yo, truly to yourself. And that's what I believe. You have to be truly to yourself. And from there, you can embrace and take on different identities. Yeah, sorry for the jumps here. Yeah, so I called myself Euro-Latino Canadian. I was born in former Yugoslavia, Croatia. There, we had like three different alphabets, 7 regions, and all that. It was very complex. From there, my family moved to Germany. And Germany in the 70s, we were Gastarbeiter, so they weren't very nice to me. There was some bullying even, incredibly. It was hard to me. But from there, then my parents decided to move to Venezuela. And in Venezuela, suddenly they call me the gringo. I say, oh my God, what AI, and you start to learn, you start to oh my God, how I deal with this. And this is where I lived quite a long time, but they also were sending me to Europe on summer camps, to the US and Canada, which was also very different. I put that down here. And the addition, I was already polyglot at 15, I could speak Croatian, Spanish, German, English. I could also think, but I made a lot of, faux pas or missteps while I was growing up. So I said, okay, I got to do this better. And from there, I've been in the intercultural field. Yes, as I mentioned, yes. So another jobs I had also caregiver, taxi driver, fitness coach, and security guard. Yes, from all of these experiences, we're dealing with different people, and you always have to change the way you speak. This is not an interpersonal level, but also on a cultural level, because I was always seen in Latin America as a foreigner or maybe a rich guy because I'm white, because of the caste system there. In Peru, you have the 15, 16 caste systems brought out by the Spanish, so I always had to change the way I speak, the way I act, the way I deal with the person, humble down, we could say. And from there on, yes, what do we have at present? If you know, we're interculturals, but do we have remote work? We have digital nomads. There's so many digital nomads all over the world. I see them especially last year when I go to Croatia, and some of them, they don't really know how the local culture is because they're just all day sitting in front of the computer. Then we have the migrants. Then we have the refugee. We have the tourists. You know, I've heard what's going on with the tourists in Spain. There's too much tourists. Prices are going high. From suddenly someone being nice to a tourist, he can be rude to a tourist. How do you deal with that as a person if you're maybe taking a group, which hasn't happened to me when I was in Latin America, but it can happen. Okay, so hybrid workplaces, multicultural teams, collaboration, technology, and the future of what I believe and how I approach life: flexibility, adaptability, inclusivity, innovation, synergy. So all it's like a movement of thoughts, of emotions, of beliefs, of values. Yes, and I did cultural identity. We all know everybody who's giving interpretation is always shifting, and it doesn't have to be fixed. You can adapt it as you speak to your children in some way, to your parents, to your boss. We also can speak differently to ourselves and the other people we're dealing with, especially if we're in a group. Like here, for example, I'm trying to make this the most amusing as possible without losing a little bit of professionalism. Sometimes professionalism can seem a little too how do you say, too condescending, depending on the culture you are, right? So this is the intent. This is all we have. This was me by ChatGPT. I said it's now my best friend, best assistant, but this is all. We're always juggling these identities in addition with our language, how you relate with your own language, in addition to other people, and all of that. So I'm going to go, the concept, this was given by me with the help of the computer, but it's a meta framework, building connection delegate for 21st century hyper-connected professionals. I see this all the time with my clients, and I embrace it too. And I'm going to possibly give you a lot of examples, personal, but also you can also give me some, and also some maybe professional. So why this says metacognitive awareness. The first thing, think about what you're thinking, how you're interpreting that. Right, thinking about the emotional ability. Immediately, we usually have an emotion. Let's see, someone is rude to us. Sometimes it has happened to me. It's a boss, and and I say something in a certain way because I'm saying it perhaps in one language, but I'm thinking in the other language because of the complications of the identity, and he reacts, or he's rude to me. How do I react? Do I get back? Should I then explain? Should I have the last word? Is it useful to say the last word? I'm going to give you an example, especially in Latin America. You know, there's like, I'm white. I say I'm from the Slavic countries. Still, my friends call me. They say, hey, how's the thing? Is it dangerous in the Ukraine, in Ukraine? Because Ukraine, Croatia, race, it had the same thing for them. I don't really, they're my nice friends. I'm not going to get angry with them. They say, no, man, it's Croatia. Take it easy. But I get it. I emotionally adapt because I don't want to lose a friend for some minor thing like that. That happens. Then the same thing happens when I'm in Europe, especially in Croatia. They ask me, okay, but how are the things in Colombia? No, I'm from Venezuela, Colombia, but it's the same thing. Yeah, it is the same thing from your perspective or from the movie, but it's not like that. But you don't let it get to you, right? Transcultural flexibility. Again, I'm learning, or I'm monitoring how I'm reacting, what I'm saying, what the culture is, what the role, what the position of the person is. Is it worth it even arguing? I don't know if it was Barbara. I remember someone mentioned something on LinkedIn about a person being very rude because she was the last one going out of the plane and a man pressured her, right? And I said, but be a little bit like an actor. Instead of going frontal, put a face, different face, take a deep breath and let the kids go first, pick on the man or something different, but don't let it get to you. We have to keep, right? You know what?
I think the
We have
important
to keep.
detail, I don't want to hijack your presentation, but the important fact here was I was the only one traveling with two boys, 2 and 4 years old, and I was bullied because I was slower than the rest. So I think this is the important fact, right?
Well, yes. Yeah, of course, of course. But then, what I would do, learn from Latin America, I would go even slower. Or, oh, I hurt my back. You know what I mean? You get back at him without being unprofessional. It's not what we should do, but don't let it get to you. Liberate yourself. Sorry. I'm so happy that you liked it. Transcultural flexibility and active empathy. You understand where it's from. Sometimes people are rude because they're in pain. I remember when I was growing up with my parents in Venezuela, and she put me in the richest school, and the people, they spoiled them. And parents were always, because they survived war, oh, you haven't suffered what we have suffered. And I said, but mom, the setting isn't the same. No one in my classroom was like that. It wasn't like that. So yeah, that's the thing. So, but I understood my parents' where it was coming from. So yes, I gave you this. So which is the first one? Okay, the ability to observe and reflect on your own thoughts and mental processes without immediate judgment. Key features: observing, right? When I mean observing yourself and the other person, observing yourself in the other person. We sometimes are so reactive, especially now, even we have to go fast. You got 20 minutes. Come on, get going. Boop, bop, boop, boop. Okay, easy couple of breaths. Observe and then think about your thinking, recognizing assumption. I know if they told you assume. If you assume, you make an ass of you and me. Okay, so don't assume, take it easy, take a step back. And yes, avoid snap decisions, which happens to a lot of people. Especially in the Western world, I have to say it after living in Venezuela, sometimes when I like in Germany and France and Croatia, say, oh my God, you complain about every minor thing. We have to have a little of a grit, right? And that's what I see, especially I'm teaching now a lot of Croatian, English and German to a lot of people from India that are now in Germany, in Europe, as a setting, because you need workforce. And I realize they sometimes realize that people are rude to them, but they don't let it get to you. They kind of flow. I say, just be Indian, take it easy, sing, don't take it too personal. And yes, this might be familiar. And what I want to introduce, if anyone has heard, this is a very good work. I recommend it. You don't need to buy the book. You can go to the website. The work by Byron Katie. This was a woman who was going through a tough time. And then she realized she was interpreting all this from her side, but we can interpret it from a different side or not interpret it at all. Get the ego out of the equation. Let's see, for example, someone says to you, I don't like that, and you found it rude for whatever reason. I don't like that culture, or you all Germans, or you are Venezuelans, or you are all people are like that. Is it true? It's not true. Can you be completely certain it's true? Well, I don't know, but it's his reality. How do I respond when I hold that belief? It's not my belief, it's his belief, so I get out. Who would I become without said belief, even without that reaction? Okay, I'm thinking a metacognitive approach. I'm going beyond the thought. And this one helps you to approach your thoughts and beliefs with curiosity and openness. Okay, by examining the thoughts, I'm going to not rest too much. I could have made longer the presentation. I'm going to give you the presentation. Here's a source. Curiously, there is the metacognitive awareness. It's not only the metacognition being aware. Then, second one, emotional ability. I see most of you here are ladies. That's another language. My wife, again, humor, says, okay, Pavle, you speak so many languages, you still don't understand me. No, I don't understand. Just so you keep laughing. My wife is from Peru. I'm from Croatia. We married in Venezuela, and our kid is Canadian. And we'll see how we'll keep going that. Yes, emotional ability involves recognizing and managing those emotions. Thank you, Barbara. How you manage the emotions, okay? You feel maybe anger, maybe sadness, maybe I'm feeling joy. How do I deal with that joy? I just want to give another example. Last year, I was working at as a tour guide on a yacht with British tourists, and they didn't feel comfortable because my style is a little bit joyful. My English is more like a Canadian twang, and they say that was unprofessional. That's not true. It doesn't make me unprofessional if I'm the adaptable past, but that's their perception. So, you modulate the emotions, maybe become stern, less stern, open, closed, however. And by perceiving emotions as colors, one can enhance experiences while staying aligned with personal goals. And I remember I went to a tour guiding training, and they asked me, how would you explain the yellow color to a blind person. Isn't that interesting? That was one of the qualification questions, very interesting. I encourage you, all you interculturalists, you should try to be maybe something like a James Bond sometimes and going tour guiding. It's a very interesting experience because I was guide with Yanomami Indians in the Venezuelan jungle, which are very deep, and I was guide for local Venezuelan people because people don't go into those places, and that really opened my eyes into what intercultural and that kind of training is, cultures. Here I'm just going to give, so I don't spend too much time, emotion semantics, cultural variation, instructions, more than 2,000 languages, aims, okay, understanding of emotion. So what I wanted here, I'm just giving the study, emotions and words vary their meaning across cultures. Different language group emotions differently. We know that. Example, some languages use one word for both fear and surprise. So sometimes what we see, what the person is expressing, or we're expressing, isn't exactly what we're thinking. Emotion semantics vary across cultures more than color words. Also very interesting. Okay, so this can help when, depending on the culture. I just was, I think, 2 weeks ago teaching German to a Vietnamese girl. I think she's refugee in Germany, but she didn't know any English. I don't know any Vietnamese, so how do I do? Okay, I use ChatGPT and Google Translator and make all kind of acting, but I'm getting there because they're very tropical. They're warming cultures. Yes. So yes, so what I would say, strategies: manage, observe your emotions, acknowledge your feeling, recognize emotion without judgment, practice emotional neutrality, pause in high pressure situations, take a deep breath, relax. I work also as a biohacker, be breath worker, and even in the healing area, when you go like where everything is like this, you see differences. Incredible. You wouldn't believe there's cultural differences, how people approach this. They're depending on the culture, academic research, transcultural feasibility. This is just what we probably do on a day-to-day basis, navigating complex professional and cultural identities in contemporary multimodal practices. So this, I'm going to try keep it short. So, for example, I learned this by a man named Jürgen Bolten from the Intercultural Institute in Jena. And he said, when we see a border, we see a straight line from a bubble. When we get close, there's differences. And that happens to all of us. And sometimes you have to mediate between people from your same culture more than between other cultures because of the culture, or the role or the title or the concept, right? You may have one worker who understands, the other one doesn't. So we need that flexibility, or how's the person thinking? Okay, I'm going to give you this as example. If you my last name is Luger, and I'm in Venezuela. It can be pretty wild. And I'm going there, and there's some gang kids come and say, "Hey, gringo, give me some money," and this and that. And I say, "Okay, what, why?" And then I say, "Man, but I'm Luger. Luger. Luger was a German gun. Yeah, Luger. Yeah, I'm family from there. I use my emotional intelligence. I play like it's not true. You're serious? Yeah, I'm anti-American. I'm total anti-American. You're true." And I invite him a beer, start to talk, and that's it. They let me go. I use emotional intelligence. You have to use sometimes more intelligence. You have to lower your self-importance to get your message across. Okay, to get what you want to survive sometimes. I think that's also very interesting. I think now we have negotiations. I think you remember Zelensky and Trump. I think both were not very well prepared, were a little bit stubborn in their work view and the way they did it. Yes, but that's it. Embracing flexibility. This is say you're flexible. You move left, right, left, up, down. Okay, inward and outward. Okay, you're always aware. It might sound like a dance. Well, it is a dance. Okay, so what else? Okay, and I put this, I can read it, we have the thing that simple adaptability. We see it in hotels, in meetings. It's the formality, but it's not adaptability. If you're really a professional, you take it deep, okay? You shift the role, you know what's going on, you understand the other person, you take your time, you contact. I do that with my clients, with masseurs, everyone. I show them I care about them, even if I'm not as professional. But what do? We show them a heart, we show them a connection. And remember, I don't know how you make a person feel, she will always remember it. Although we study too much with words, how you feel will always be remembered. Feelings are magnetic, thoughts are more electric. Okay, yes. And thank you. And which is the last one? active empathy. So empathy, I would say integration. Empathy is emotion, but also not getting too emotional. Called deep engagement with others, emotional connection, and knowing what's going. You can have a disagreement, you can have a misunderstanding, your willingness to be open. I think that's what happens with a lot of people who work with charities and who work with refugees. Sometimes refugees are angry. I was in Croatia, and this Ukrainian lady asked if she was Russian, and she bolstered at me, and I said, I'm sorry, I understand I come from Venezuela. I got my share too. By the way, I also have that, as a Croatian, I work with Croatian military veterans and also with refugees from Venezuela. And I'm always like, okay, let's put a good smile, Pavle, help them to teach them a little, take it easy. Okay, yes. But this is crucial for building trust, understanding political cross cultures. It's a thing you don't agree, but the person sees you as a professional and wise, the wise, the wisdom. People look for wisdom. Even when I'm teaching, I have to admit, or when I'm guiding, I don't know, but I appear that I know my stuff. And then, okay, this was a good explanation. Sometimes I wouldn't say lie, but you can get away with it. And yes, why empathy is crucial. It allows
tick-tock, tick-tock,
TikTok.
tick-tock,
Okay,
tick-tock,
okay. So why empathy? Yeah. Okay, I got it. I didn't have the time. Fun stories. Okay, but you're gonna like this one. Okay, navigating this role, staying agile and human, this global flow. And I got this one, meta favorite, empathic Aikido. You know the art of Aikido, the one where you take the energy and send it back. So this would be my approach, redirect energy. So for example, someone is rude, like I said, mentioned with Barbara, you get back to him from a different position. Someone is nice, you are nice. You channel that energy and don't let it get to you, okay? Channel that energy and don't get led to you, because the most important thing to be ourselves empowered. And you start to identify emotional triggers, you can negate it, you play ping pong, don't play ping pong, you play tennis. What I mean is, I'm using metaphors, whatever way you're going, you keep going, you keep flowing, don't let it get to you. And as you say, tick-tock, I'm more. Another example of this, fusion food, among the tasty foods on the planet. Okay, you can also try this one. And we don't have much time, that's what I give. But yes, then I'm going to end, become living the intercultural mix daily, becoming cultural fluid. It's I think 6 p.m. So you guys, you should have a drink, enjoy life, and it can be a non-alcoholic too, okay? And thank you very much. Next time I'm going to do the 90-minute. I thought I wasn't going to have so much time. Yes. Yeah. I have so much to
Reach
give.
out
Yeah,
with some emoji reaction for our presenter, Pavle. Thank you so much. Give him also some thoughts in the chat, please. Thank you very, very much, Pavle.